Have you ever had a feeling before you had a reason? A feeling that something something was right or wrong. A feeling that told you to trust someone or walk away. A feeling that appeared before logic could explain it. Most people call this intuition. But what exactly is intuition? Is it magic, luck, a coincidence, or is something deeper happening inside the human body? For centuries, people have described moments when they simply knew, not because they had evidence, not because they had proof, but because something inside them recognized a truth before the conscious mind caught up. And today, science is beginning to investigate why. Now, let us start with something important. The conscious mind is slow. It analyzes, compares, calculates, questions. It moves step by step. But your nervous system processes enormous amount of information every second, far more than your conscious awareness can handle. Your body is constantly scanning people, voices, facial expressions, environments, pattern, energy, behavior, memories. And much of this processing happens below conscious awareness, long before you think about it. Now imagine entering a room, nobody says anything threatening. Everything appears normal, and yet something feels off. You can't explain it, but you feel it. Why? Because your nervous system has already detected information your conscious mind has not fully processed. The body noticed, the heart responded, and only later does the brain attempt to explain it. Now, this may be one reason intuition often feels immediate, because intuition is not necessarily thinking, it is sensing, perceiving, recognizing before conscious reasoning begins. Now think about a time when you ignored your intuition. You felt something was not right, yet logic convinced you otherwise. And later you discovered your first feeling was correct. Most people have experienced this, not once, but many times. Now this does not mean intuition is always perfect. Human beings can confuse intuition with fear. They can confuse wisdom with anxiety. They can confuse awareness with emotional conditioning, which is why learning the difference becomes important. Fear feels contracted, urgent, reactive. Intuition feels calm, clear, quiet, simple. Fear screams, intuition whispers. Fear pushes, intuition guides. And this distinction changes everything, because many people spend their lives listening only to the loudest voice, not the wisest voice. Now let us go deeper. When people live under chronic stress, their nervous system becomes noisy. The body stays in survival mode. The brain stays occupied. The mind stays distracted. And when internal noise increases, subtle signals becomes harder to feel. Imagine trying to hear a whisper in a crowded stadium. That is what intuition feels like in a stressed nervous system. The signal exists, but the noise overwhelms it. Now think about meditation. One reason meditation feels powerful is because it reduces internal noise. The mind slows down, the nervous system settles, awareness expands, and suddenly signals that were always present becomes easier to notice. Not because they appeared, but because the noise disappeared. Now this brings us back to the heart. The heart continuously gathers information from the body and environment. It constantly communicates with the brain. It reflects emotional states. It responds to experiences and perhaps It helps us access information before conscious thought organizes it into language. Now imagine two people making the same decision. One person is overwhelmed by fear, the other is calm and coherent. Who is more likely to perceive clearly? The calm person. Because clarity is not created by more thinking, it is created by less interference. Now, this may explain why some of history's greatest leaders, innovators, and visionaries often spoke about trusting their intuition. Not because they rejected logic, but because they understood something important. Logic analyzes the known. Intuition often senses the unknown. Logic looks backward. Intuition often looks forward. Logic explains. Intuition reveals. The strongest decisions usually require both a clear mind and an open heart. Because when the heart and brain work together, something extraordinary happens. You stop reacting automatically. You stop being controlled by fear. You stop living entirely from old conditioning and you begin accessing a deeper intelligence, a quieter intelligence, a wise intelligence, a wiser intelligence. An intelligence that has always been there, waiting beneath the noise. Perhaps intuition is not a mysterious gift given to a few people. Perhaps it is a natural human ability, one that becomes stronger when the heart and mind becomes coherent. And maybe the reason your heart seems to know before your mind is because wisdom often arrives before explanation does.